Well, it's all over. It's all said and done. OKC is your new NBA Finals championship team. And for the Pacers, it all ended before it even started. In the arms of the angels. That's how you got to feel about that. Because, I was like, as soon as Tyrese Halliburton went down, everything else just went down with him. I was like, don't get me wrong. They had a shot. They had a chance. They was there. And then at some point, you started to realize, like, out of gas. I will say, I was like, it was hopeful. It was like, other than Halliburton coming out hot, like I was saying, and it looked like it might be one of them games where it's like, oh snap, we're gonna see a Halliburton maybe in a Shea showdown and see who get the best of it. In the end, I feel like the Pacers just sort of end up riding high for that half, and then Oklahoma City was sort of like one of them. It's sort of one of them things of, we are not about to lose to this team when they top player done left. And then they just proceeded to not. Their defense kicked up, but I do think the Pacers kicked themselves in the foot. I think there was some bad coaching decisions as well. I was like, T.J. McConnell had them going in the third quarter and was basically keeping them alive. Then he didn't. I was like, the conundrum for me was basically like T.J. McConnell. I was like, kept him in, but also with T.J. McConnell is that nobody else is going to get any burn. But at the same time, he really didn't play anybody else with TJ until like basically like 5 to 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, which by then you sort of just felt like that was just sort of it. And I was like, on this live stream I was doing, I was over here saying like, you need to have TJ McConnell, Pascal Siakam, Ben Mathurin, Nembhard, and either Obi Toppin or Naismith. He stuck out with Naismith to me a little bit way too long. Like, don't get me wrong, I was like, you ain't really getting much for Obi, but I think there were matchups that you could have had, especially when they went to Harstein instead of Chet, because Chet was over here giving them the work with the defense, and Naismith was just over here fouling the hell out of it. I thought that with the defense, they never figured out of how to attack them. And to me, I was like, it's a lot of it's like, for example, it's like times where it just kind of seemed like they would give you space to shoot, but they did too much of like indecisiveness. Like I thought it was too long. Like I was like, if it's McConnell and Mathurin, they sort of was just like, forget this, I'm going straight to the basket some way or somehow. And I was like, not saying that it's always going to work, but it was a plan. I was like Nembhard, I thought did pretty well when he knew what he wanted to do was like, I'm going to go up, step back, hit a jump shot. And it worked. But when it would be a lot of times of like, oh, I'm going to come off this screen and then I'm going to try to do too much dribbling. I was like, you can't. They got too many dudes with Caruso, Dort, Wallace, all them to try to break them down so much like that. So I was like, I thought that's where on the player side they messed up. But Carlisle not having, like, Siakam didn't play for a good portion of the game. Like I said, T.J. McConnell didn't get in until nearly the fourth quarter was nearly done. And I was like, that's too long for a lot of these players. I was like, look, some of them are going to be tired. And I was like, I thought when they had Ben Shepherd in there, I was like, he was out there for a little bit too long, and I was like, I know you want to give Nembhard a breather, but I was like, he's a little too long in here. I thought Turner had been playing great, but I didn't think that you was really getting anything out of Thomas Bryant and Tony Bradley enough in order to really justify that. To where it's like I said, sort of have Pascal Siakam and Obi Toppin there. Because I was like, they're going to sort of play a little bit small. They're not going to play Hartenstein and Chet there. You could have taken advantage of some of that. But they also were just giving the ball over. But that's because a lot of them dudes, that's not their job. Like, that's where you sort of miss Halliburton. You miss Halliburton because as good as T.J. McConnell played, since he's a scorer first, he's not looking to get anybody else involved. Halliburton's getting everybody involved, and then he'll get his shot. And because he can create his own shot, he can do that first and not second. So you've seen like that's where Halliburton came into play. The pace, because sometimes the Pacers will just be pushing the ball in a way that's like y'all are getting yourselves into a situation where y'all gonna get a turnover, and that's what happened. And the thing is, Oklahoma City also didn't play great. They played okay. I was like okay to good. I was like they'll just show the numbers, and they'll show like Shea over here and his points and stuff like that. It really was a good game. Jaden Williams didn't have a good game. Chet had one of his better games, I want to say. I was like, he was really more so on the defensive end here. So I was like, the game was had for the Pacers. If you like, and it makes you wonder if Halliburton didn't get hurt. And the thing that sucks is that as time went on, like with the after they showed, like they were talking about his calf, and they show it popped, and then as soon as you see that, you're like, man, it's gonna be one of them Achilles things. And they said he got an Achilles injury, so now that's over here, just like, dang, like. But I was like, but you game 7, you know he's gonna try, and there ain't nothing that could really be done with it. And this one, and I was like, to me, it was a series that I felt like would change the trajectory of both teams. I didn't think it would be to the drastic nature that Halliburton going to be out for with a whole Achilles like injury. That changes the whole trajectory of the Pacers. But just speaking on how it was, I was like, the Thunder went from either trading some of their pieces to get another solid block. I mean, like piece like how they did Caruso and Hartenstein, to being like, no, we're just gonna keep this squad and we're just gonna run it back next year. The Pacers was either in the spot where it's like they're gonna either keep their people, or do we need to get another ball handling guy? They now they need to, because Halliburton not around. But it's like now it's like, do you bring back Miles Turner? Do you let him go? I was like, what do you do with some of the people on the bench? Do you try to find another piece as well? I think it worked with Siakam and stuff, and so it's like I think you could bring. I was like, I don't know TJ's contract situation, but you get what I'm saying. So I was like, but that team now has changed, where it's like you sort of seem like, okay, they like if they would have won, you sort of feel that most organizations sort of stay stagnant. But now I think it's really done went to where it's like, okay, do we wait on the development of seeing what's the next step? Because hey, these finals for both teams, I think sort of done kicked in of like where each person has to get better. Whoever's going to be the third, fourth, whatever option is going to have to get better. Jalen Williams, I was like, is going to improve from that. Chet is going to improve from this. That's at least what you're hoping for. Nembhard, does he improve on this? Where he becomes more of like, I was like, because he could get his own shot, but I wouldn't say that he's necessarily a shot creator. I feel like those are different. Like Jalen Williams, I don't think he's I was like, he can score and get his own shot, but he's also not somebody that I'm just like full-fledged ISO he's going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like he could drive down to the paint, and he's good on layups and stuff like that. But he's not Shea. He's not Shea. I'm just talking about like just getting your own shot that type of way. So I was like, but it was a fun series pretty much until the injury happened. I think this would have been a really great game 7. And like I said before, when I did my first video of this series, I think that I was like, past the numbers or whatever, all that other stuff, I still think this was a series that the NBA needed. Because not only did it introduce the 2 young players, teams, but I was like, the play style and all that other stuff, I think would help with it. Where like Oklahoma City was all over here being all rugged to the point where I was like, man, a lot of this stuff is like foul. And I'm not even talking about like, oh, I mean, like, I'm like, even the playoffs, like, that seemed like a playoff like foul that should get called. But I was like, yo, they were just letting Oklahoma City playing them boys' chest like that. And I was mad because I was like, why in the end, like, why aren't y'all doing that? Like, I was like, to me, Shea's not getting the ball. And I'm like, I know that's not, I was like, that's not always possible. But I'm saying, like, whoever's good, like, no, it's mainly Nembhard and stuff. But I'm like, why are y'all, why are y'all playing so far off on Shea when he doesn't have the ball? I like Jalen Williams and all of them are going to have to figure out a way to score, and he wasn't having a good game because you've seen it on the other end that they knew that if it wasn't really T.J. McConnell, who also had some turnovers, that they knew that them dudes aren't ball handlers like that. You can handle the ball, but being a ball handler is a different thing, and none of them dudes were that, and that's why a lot of some of them turnovers were getting created like that. Oklahoma City is the same thing. None of them dudes are ball handlers like that. They can. I was like, Jalen Williams can handle the ball, but he ain't about to get out of a sticky situation in the same way. They should have just denied Shea in a lot of spots where I'm just like, you see what they're doing over there, just do the same thing. So I was like, that part was frustrating as well, but that sort of go to coaching and playing as well too. Like I said, I was like, Oklahoma City, I think they was able to get away from doing some of their small ball lineups and stuff like that, like because Indiana wanted to take advantage. They didn't play Pascal Siakam. I don't think they got him the ball on like that for a while. They didn't give it to him on consecutive trips in a way where I'm like, yo, this has got to be the dude that initiates everything. Like, yeah, maybe I was like pass out or whatever like that. I was like, everybody became stagnant. Nobody was really like moving or cutting or free flowing. I don't think they really got out in transition when they did have the opportunities to run. You just really seen like once Halliburton wasn't there in that second half, you just sort of see like where he was missing the whole game. But yeah, the injury changes everything from the game to East team. But Oklahoma City, they got the championship, and hey, you can't take it away from them. I was like, all the questions going to be right now from being like, when you're dynasty, blah blah blah, and all the other stuff. I'm gonna say right now, I was like, dynasty. We just got to see with the new NBA that basically if they there next year, I feel like you can have that conversation. Until then, you basically gonna have to look at them sort of like the Spurs, where it's like maybe they're here this year, not next year, but maybe they back the year after that. Going back and forth on that. I was like, they're going to end up paying Chat and Jalen Williams. All the rest of them are basically going to be what's interchangeable, but they got so many picks that they can sort of do that at any type of way they want to. So that's why I think it's not a dynasty, but there hadn't really been a new word or creation that people had to basically sort of talk about like championship, intermediate, and like in the immediate time of like nothing, then championship again. So I think that's where they're at. Indiana, Halliburton being out, the East is going to be really weird because there's so many injuries on that side that it's like, do next year. I was like, where will they be at? Because I was like, I still think that pretty much even without a Halliburton, this team is still 7 in the East. I was like, there's not too many of them, and then some of the people above them, Celtics, Sixers, Bucks, all got injuries as well. So I don't think they'll make it back to the finals, nothing like that. But a playoff team, yeah, I don't see anybody in the East over running them like that. But anyway, Game 7, conclusion, NBA Finals, done. Coming up is the NBA Draft, which I'm not going to lie, snuck the hell up on me like a ghost in a quiet place. Not the movie, but just in a quiet place where you just didn't realize that was going to happen. Yeah, I was like, get real interesting, I feel like, after the first 2 picks. Unless the first pick is interesting. Did a video on that. I don't think it would happen. But if they decide not to go Cooper Flag because they need a point guard themselves. Anyway, how do y'all enjoy the finals? I was like, well, we're going to give OKC their respect. No, we're not. They're going to have 2 days, and then we're going to forget all about them and act like none of this ever happened. So, yeah. We'll see. Shea, a superstar, had he got into that realm. Oh, wait, before I go out of here, I do think it's really weird or funny or whatever you want to say of the fact that, like how, like, they're all going to come out. They already got the t-shirts you can buy at the websites, and they're going to have the t-shirt and the hat that they got on because they basically print out 2 because they never know who's going to win. And I was like, cool, I understand that. Hedging both sides, that way, hey, nobody thinks. I was like, except for the people out there that's like, inscripted. And I was like, okay, I understand that one. Then it comes to like the ones where it's like the commercials, and it's like, okay, cool. You had those already. You already know the two teams, so guess what? You can cut up images. All this that makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, yeah. I was like, but the thing I always want to know is, like, Shea had a whole commercial, and then it was basically Converse, his shoes. If he would have lost, what do they do with that? Do they re-edit it? Take out like a little bit of the championship story that he had and make it into something new, and then like we get the commercial later, because the shoe's still gonna drop, or or did they got this involved? Did they like? That's the question I have. Like, what do they do with that if he would have lost? Kind of thing. Would we have got like some HALIs or something or whatever? Good idea for a shoe, but I don't know. Just a question I have. Basically, because I was like, I get the other side, you make two, but I was like, do you make a different commercial just in case? I don't know. Anyway, let me know what y'all all think, how y'all feel about them finals. Thought it was a really good finals. Be damned about whatever the numbers are. Did you enjoy it? That's how we gotta do things in life. Until then, appreciate you.